It's a beautiful Monday morning, and of course, it's the last day of the year 2018. Congratulations, you made it, and we must say a big thank you to everyone who's followed this show from the beginning of the year. Of course, we're reviewing all that transpired in the past 364 days thereabout, and we'll be looking at different issues from security, economy, of course, talking about the special mentions as well. There is a lovely one that I call the personality of the year, and there seem to be some very amazing individuals who seem to have done some really hilarious and remarkable things in the course of their outgoing year. I am Nifemi Oguntoye, standing in for Yori Folarin. Welcome to This Morning. Now, let me introduce my guests to you. I feel like a judge because both of them are lawyers. Tunde Kolawole is a lawyer and public affairs analyst. Good morning and compliments of the season to you.
Thanks for having me, Nifemi. And good morning to all our viewers.
Good morning. Good morning. Ahmed Dada Abbas is a lawyer and political affairs analyst. It's glad to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, so interesting year indeed. Mr. President says it's a year of mixed blessings for Nigeria. Some have described it as a year full of killings. I would love us to begin with security. Renewed and heightened armed herdsmen attacks seem to be our experience earlier in the year. It evolved from what we called Fulani herders attack to herders farmers clash, farmers herders clash. Some called it communal clash. We seem to now call it armed banditry. Let me begin with you, Barrister Kolawole. What would you say really was responsible for the amazing number of deaths recorded earlier in the year as a result of this?
Yeah, Nifemi, thank you. I would want to say it's a combination of so many factors. First and foremost, I would want to say we are facing these challenges because we are a country that really doesn't plan. A nation, like individuals, should be able to strategize and have a vision of the direction in which they will be going in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years, 30 years, thereabout, and all that. But for us as a people, we hardly plan. I'll give you an example. We can almost envisage the tragedy between the farmers and the cattle and the Fulani herdsmen and all that, because as far back as the 30s, as the 40s and all that, there were a series of reports from not just the academician, but from also from the colonial master, that sooner than later, the land that is available for grazing animals are likely to be dwindling, and that water is likely to become a problem in this part of the world. Somebody had even predicted that Lake Chad at so time or so about is likely to dry up, and that all this desertification is going to be a challenge in Nigeria. So if we were planning as a people and on that, we would first and foremost have been fighting desertification with all that it requires to really fight it. Secondly, the cattle Fulani people would have been educating them on modern animal husbandry. As it is done, I mean, they graze their animals in Canada, they are in Australia, they are in Netherlands and all that. But you don't see the kind of clashes that we have between our own farmers and herdsmen. And this simply because in those places, people have planned for both the farmer and also planned for those who want to rear animals.
We still appear to be much divided.
We don't do that.
As regards the solution for this particular challenge. While some states are going the anti-grazing law way, the federal government appears to have a different solution precisely. But let's look at the states. We're looking at Benue, Taraba, we're looking at Kaduna. In Benue, for instance, the situation became so overwhelming that the state governor at that time seemed to have had a face-off with the presidency. Today is no longer with the APC. And one interesting fallout of this is the position of Amnesty International. Amnesty International quoted 2,082 deaths in 2018, and it also seemed to have, sided with the ex-minister of defense. You remember him calling out to the Nigerian military earlier in the year, saying that they were siding, the headsmen in these attacks. How do all of these play out for you as an individual?
Thank you. I think the challenge we have in Nigeria as of today is that we're actually a fraudulent nation. It's a fraudulent contraption. And when you have a nation where people refuse to face realities and engage in self-deceit, you can predict the outcome. Look, it's like any marriage you see a husband killing the wife or the wife killing the husband, the signatures are usually on the wall. It doesn't happen overnight. The herdsmen kill. as of today, the way Nigeria is structured, it can never work. It can't work. You see, when you make a governor, you make laws, you can't enforce your laws. What is the essence of governance? Governance constantly is looking at the society and the problems facing your society and making laws to address those problems. So how do you make a law and you do not have the capacity to enforce that law? You make a law, and because you are not in the good book of probably the government at the center, you can be frustrated. You have a CP presiding over a state. The governor cannot give him instruction on what to do to keep the state peaceful. Even your military, that is supposed to be the most cohesive institution, stabilizing factor, there are moles among them. They've been compromised. Our militaries are ambushed. You budget for weapons. They are never bought. We must tell ourselves the truth. Governing Nigeria or leading is like flying an aircraft, analogically. Once the journey is hitch-free, the cabin is always very calm. You see people reading newspaper, sleeping, or gisting in low tones. But once there's a commotion within the cabin of an aircraft, abnormal commotion in the cabin of an aircraft,
there's tension in there.
There's basically to tell you that the pilots are finding it difficult stabilizing that aircraft and that the aircraft is refusing to obey instruction. We must get down to the table and speak truth to ourselves.
There seems to be a lot to talk about this morning, but it's interesting to see how all of these have played out in the year. Of course, the presidency and army seem to have denied the position of General Theophilus Danjuma that the military was colluding with the headsmen in what he called precisely ethnic cleansing. The armed banditry in Zamfara seem to have defied every, government attempt. Mr. President sent 1,000-strong troop to that part of the country, and the problem still festers. But many are also saying that in 2010, a pre-election year, as well as 2014, there's always seemed to be a renewed, call it insurgency, call it violence, anytime we're about to have elections. Do you think this could also perhaps have fueled some of the killings we had earlier in the year?
Absolutely, there is no doubt about that. But first and foremost, I would want to see the situation in Zamfara as a failure of leadership. It's a failure of leadership. You and I would know, and let me make a case study. You will recollect that sometimes back, Lagos State almost became as chaotic as Zamfara State. In Ikorodu there was a lot of oil bunkering that was going on, that the Air Force had to be brought in to neutralize those two people who were involved in that. You remember the Badu challenges in Ikorodu and all that. And you also remember the kidnapping that was taking place almost on a daily basis all over Lagos and all. But some people sat down here, strategized and all that, put their heads together, made some resources available to the government and all that. And those resources were adequately deployed and all that. And then the situation became a little bit calm, and then normalcy has been restored. But can you say that for Zamfara State? Most of the time, the young man who is governing Zamfara State is never there. He is in Abuja. The last time this other erroneous killing took place, he said he was somewhere abroad. And then the deputy governor, who ordinarily should take charge, when the governor is not available, say he has been totally marginalized, that he doesn't have the levels of power to be able to do anything when the government is not available. So if the governor had been proactive, like maybe the people in Lagos State have been proactive and all that, I am sure the situation in Zamfara State would not have degenerated to the level in which it has degenerated to. You also recollect, Zamfara is probably the only state now in which the APC are not likely to have a governor in the next election, because somebody somewhere didn't allow the party primary to take place in there. The inter-party wrangling in those places has reached such a level in which they have abandoned governance totally. And then a state of anarchy has almost descended in the whole of last year. So if the leadership were to be alive to its responsibility, if it were to be proactive and all that, I am sure the situation in there wouldn't have deteriorated to that level. Well, the other level is that of the security forces. Can you say our security forces have been allowed to their responsibility in Zamfara State? I have had this report that what is happening in Zamfara State is a kind of a mafia a group of people fighting themselves over extraction of mineral resources, diamond and gold, that there's a lot of diamond and gold in Zamfara State and all that. And so some mafia groups are contesting as regards who is going to have dominance in extracting those minerals and all that. You and I do know that mineral resources under the Constitution is on the exclusive legislative list, in which is only the federal government that could extract and then issue mining licenses and all that. So how come it is the mafia that are now contesting?
Let's move very quickly,
for
Mr.
the extraction of those minerals.
Mr. Kolawole, of course, there was also the renewed insurgency in the north, but there are some who would say that unlike in 2014, thereabout, when the Chibok girls were abducted, we witnessed another grand abduction this year of the Dapchi girls, 110 girls, but 104 were released. Of course, there's still the issue of hashtag Freely Ashari, but there are some who would say, come on, we should give the government some kudos there to have come alive to their responsibilities in getting those girls back.
Yes, see, you can't take it away that the government is trying its possible best to keep the society secured. But like I said, you see, the fundamental problems, it's like you wake up in the morning, you see your house flooded with water, and you start bailing out the water without finding out where is the source of flooding coming from. That's exactly what we are doing. We keep trying to mop waters. We are not finding out. I told you, structurally, this country, the way it is structured, you were talking about the safety of Lagos. Do you know how much Lagos, as a government, is spending in security, independently, funding the police? The reason why the Lagos state government security architecture is working perfectly is because the government is pumping in billions of naira into it, into a structure that doesn't belong to you. And the reason why Lagos State probably is enjoying that semblance of cooperation from the center is because they are actually at the center and at the state at the same time. I can guarantee you that if you have probably a PDP government at the federal level, they can sabotage your effort because they train most of these police officers on their own, equip them. If they decide to transfer the entire police from Lagos State, you bring in a new set of people that at the end of the day might not even be well aware of the training and all the rest of them. So for me as a person, yes, the government is trying its best. But like I said, we need to sit down as a people and ask ourselves, what kind of nation do we really want? Because some of these insurgencies, this insecurity, some of them also have political undertone.
Talking about government trying its best, the hashtag #EndSARS. The government really responded. They rebranded SARS. Now they asked them to stop harassing young people on the streets, under the guise of Yahoo. Some will say, indeed, we have a listening government, Mr. Kolawole, especially when it comes to, a protest that began on social media. I mean, if it was in the time past, government would have turned a blind eye.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we want to say kudos to them at least for listening and trying to do some of reform with regards to SARS. But can you really say that a serious reform has taken place within the SARS? I will want to disagree. Disagree in the sense that it is a nomenclature that has really changed. We now find a situation in which the SARS we have at the state level have now been converted to federal SARS. In a way, people have been clamoring, let's decentralize the police, let's make the police more local. State police, local government police, county police, and all that. But instead of doing that, the Inspector General of Police has used that opportunity to really amass power to himself, in the sense that you now have a federal SARS, which is answerable to the Inspector General of Police in one way. You also find another police, special Inspector General of Police, special response team and all that. That is not the kind of security architecture or the kind of federal SARS we want to see. I want to see a situation in which every DPO in this country would have some people who necessarily not need to be called SARS, but who are very good marksmen, who are very agile, who are well trained and all that. Immediately, the DPO knows that there is a dangerous criminal that is residing or that is somewhere that has to be apprehended, and the DPO can give instruction and say, look, go for this person, and then the person is going to be. It's technology, it's all about people within their respective jurisdiction having the wherewithal to do or discharge the responsibility that's given to them. When you concentrate power at the federal level or in one section of a system and all that, and then you leave the other sections not having the wherewithal to really do what is expected of them, you are never going to get results. So the reform that are taking place in SARS today is not far-reaching enough. I would want to see a situation in which the SARS will be domiciled in all the respective divisional police formation that we have in this country and responsible to those commissioners, to those DPOs in those places.
You know, they say the performance of the police, whether they've done well or not, depends on where you're looking at it from. I want us to quickly, remember the offer robbery scandal. I mean, very phenomenal. 4 banks robbed in 1 hour, 33 people killed. The suspects, of course, arrested. Sadly, the prime suspect died in custody. Senate president accused and all of that. How do you think the police fared?
You see, to be honest with you, let's say our police, within the limits of their resources, are trying their possible best. And I say this with due respect to many professional, responsible police officers who are doing their best within the context of the shortcomings they have, the limitations. They are ill-equipped, they do not have the resources, and even where you have close to about 370,000 police officers, almost about 150,000 are guiding our VIPs. So what number do you have guiding the entire society? And most times you go to their police station. I'm making a case for the police because you go to their police stations, ask how much is the budget given to each divisional police station to run. Sometimes 4,000, 5,000 naira.
Recall that Mr. President just improved that welfare in form of remuneration in the year.
You give a police station 4,000, 5,000 naira, 10,000 to run a police station where you have hundreds of thousands of cases every day, and you expect them to respond. You have about 100 calls in a day for robberies and all the rest of them. You expect them to respond. How do they fuel their car? How do they get the stationaries and all the rest? So the Nigerian government must wake up to its responsibility to the police. If you want a police that is adequate for the Nigerian society, you must equip them adequately. Give them the resources required. Be that as it may I also say that with due respect to all the professional officers there who are doing a great job, I also want to tell you, honestly, whatever be the reforms as at today, it's not deep enough, because I can still tell you categorically that most of our divisional police stations, area commands, and zonal commands, they are still business centers as at today. Nigerians are ATMs. I have seen a situation where 2 landlords had a misunderstanding, and the matter was reported to the anti-kidnapping unit of Zone 2. In a civilized society, that department has no business entertaining a landlord-tenant, 2 landlords fighting in a community, having a misunderstanding. You understand me? But meanwhile, they take jurisdiction and try to, what are you addressing as an anti-kidnapping unit? Over 2 landlords fighting in a community. One wrote a petition. You should be professional enough to tell that complainant.
Perhaps the possibility of one of the landlords getting kidnapped. Gentlemen, we have to move forward. Yes. A very sad incident, just recently, Air Chief Marshal Alex Bade, killed, along, I think it was Abuja Kefi Road. And there are some who would say that the police seem to have done marvelously well to have, arrested suspects and all of that. But the challenge really seemed to be the track record of political assassinations we've had in the past. The Dele Giwas of this world, the Funshaw Williams, the Bola Ige, seem to shroud situations like these and affect the confidence of the public in the police. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, my thought is, you see, there is this saying that is very popular within the radical elements in this country that if they come for the Pope and you say you are not a Pope and you allow them, take him away. By the time they will also come for you as an imam, you will be shocked that there will be nobody to defend you. Too many times our allies have always believed that if they drive a bulletproof car, if the DSS, the police and all that, give them adequate securities and all that, that they are insulated from all the security challenges that the ordinary man on the street is faced with. And so because of that, they really don't plan for the overall security of the society. They plan for their own personal security. They will build very big houses, have high walls as fences and put barbed wire in there. Some even put electronic, cameras and what have you, and then at night they will wire the place with electricity so that when you put your hand there, you get shocked or you get burnt in the process. But see, that doesn't solve the problem. The solution is that we must have a security architecture, not just for the country, for the state, for the local government, and then for the individual. We have cited the case of Lagos State in here now. And then do you go any bus stop, you visit in Lagos State, you don't have one police or two policemen in their car just sitting down quietly and watching. You also have the Lagos State Neighborhood Security Watch and other who are doing marvelous job gathering intelligence and then giving those intelligence to the appropriate authority for them to be able to work. So the challenge we really have is that the Nigerian elites have not lived up to expectation with regard to really policing this society, guarantee security for everyone, no matter what your status are in the society. And the primary responsibility of government, let's be honest to ourselves, are basically fundamentally two. You protect lives and property. If you're able to guarantee that, every other thing should be able to move in a very seamless manner. He gave an example now. The police that we are saying are not better equipped. The army that we say don't have the necessary equipment to fight Boko Haram and other. You and I do know that on a yearly basis, ample provisions are made for them in the budget. Where does this go into?
We have to move on from here, gentlemen. There seems to be a lot to talk about. Let's talk politics. And some would say that earlier in the year we had some massive defections, and that it's official now on pre-election years. There just seemed to be political defection. The former vice president moved from APC to PDP. Both leaders of the National Assembly, Speaker of the House of Reps, Senate President, also decamped to the opposition People's Democratic Party. We saw some governors, Benue State Governor, Kwara State Governor, and I think one or two others who, who left the APC as well. Over 33 members of the House of Reps, less than 14 senators also changed camp. Would you say really that these defections are fundamental based on principles, or then it is common knowledge that they're just personal interests?
You see, when Mahatma Gandhi, was it 1922 or 25, when he was listing the 7 deadly social sins of any society, where it spoke about, commerce without morality, science without humanity, wealth without work, religion without sacrifice. He also said any nation that practices politics without principles, it's a deadly social sin. And I'm an optimist, but having grown in this country and seeing the kind of politics our politicians are playing, where you wake up today, APC, tomorrow you are PDP, and tomorrow you become a Labour Party man and all the rest of them, you can actually predict the election of 2019 to 2023, the outcome. You can predict, because when you have such people, it simply means nothing good will actually come on. I'm not an pessimist, but I have come to understand the way the politicians play this politics. Very few of them are principled. And when you have such, the cross-carpeting, we were told point blank. One of the leaders of the National Assembly told us that this was not the agreement. The agreement was how we are going to distribute the offices and the benefits that comes from winning an election. It's not about our argument. The quarrel is not about, the government is not impacting the lives of the people. There has been no improvement in the quality of lives, in the standard of our people. But the argument is that what I'm supposed to benefit from this government, I'm not benefiting. And therefore, I'm leaving this party for another party. So what do you expect from such politicians? What do you expect? I do not, I'm just being honest. And you see, we need to also help Nigerians to, tighten their seatbelt. Because if you have so much expectation and at the end of the day, the expectation doesn't come true, you are going to feel frustrated, bitter, angry, and develop probably high blood pressure. So be realistic that you have a leadership class that is not principled as of today.
Much of these defections are also a fallout of the party primaries. You know, and we saw direct primaries, in some cases indirect primaries. Amazingly, in some states, there are state governors who are running for senators under a particular political platform and who seem to be supporting a totally different party for the governorship race. What would you say this is unprecedented, and what is the implication of this on the quality of politics we play in this part of the world?
Well, it takes us back to what my colleague here had been saying. We have politicians who don't have a principle. For them, political parties are just mere vehicles for the realization of their political ambition. And when you have people play politics that way, it will be suicidal, just like he said, to expect much from them. With reference to the governor who is on, he is operating from two different platforms. He's a governorship candidate on one platform. He is also hoping to become a senator on another platform. If you will, I don't know whether you are one of those who is my friend on Facebook. I posted something on Facebook not too long ago. I said, look, is President Muhammadu Buhari not encouraging discipline within the APC by allowing a governor who is running on the platform of APC and the governor, and then he said...
No, the governor came with the chairman
with a letter
of the APM.
Yes.
And the president said, well, if any party wants to support me for presidency, why not? Would you have refused such gesture?
Yes, on principle, because what you are encouraging is kind of indiscipline within the party. You see, that a man who is your governor on the platform of your party is still running as a senator on the platform of your party, is presenting a letter from a different political party. That doesn't encourage discipline and party supremacy. No matter what bitterness, no matter what might have taken place in the party primaries and all that, a winner must emerge.
You know, perhaps you're talking as a lawyer and not as a politician. It's an election year, so you don't tell an incumbent governor you're disqualified from this party when you know how relevant they are in an election. Well, perhaps that also needs to be balanced. Mr. President is running for an election, for crying out loud.
What? Let's go to some other climb. Hillary Clinton contested against Obama for the primaries one time and lost the primary to Obama and all that. He didn't, because of that, leave a Democratic Party. She stayed in there and then tried and lost the second time, got the ticket and also contested and lost and all that. In some other climes and all that. I mean, it's not peculiar to Nigeria alone. If even you are in a kind of, you are a shareholder in a company, all decisions that are taken in every board meeting or in every annual general meeting of the company and all that may not go the way you probably would have wanted it to go.
I get you precisely.
And so if it doesn't go, you should, for the sake of discipline, for the sake of principle, for the sake of progress and all that, align yourself with the general decision of the majority. Once the majority have taken the decision for God's sake, in the interest of peace, in the interest of progress, in the interest of the society, and based on principle, you just must queue into that.
Let me hear your opinion very briefly on this issue.
You see, this is my take on the issue of the cross-carpeting and all the rest of them. Most of our politicians are not, they are not Democrats. They were just dictators and emperors. And the political culture that the APC actually introduced to say, look, the delegate system was actually a very, very corrupt way of one man deciding the fate of so many millions of people. The introduction of members voting direct primaries was to allow members to have an influence as to who emerges. Unlike before, all you need to emerge as a candidate, gubernatorial candidate, senatorial candidate, House of, is just to have a godfather within the political system. Just obey him, bow down to him, pledge your allegiance to him, he arranges how you emerge. But with the direct primaries, most of the godfathers actually lost out in the day. So I understand the frustration and the pain, and that's a culture that we should encourage that Nigerians should be given the opportunity to decide who. So eventually you get to a point where you may not necessarily be a money bag.
That's all right.
But if the people like you, they would allow you to emerge.
Let me just hold you very quickly. We spoke a couple of days ago with the Igbo State Governor on this program, who mentioned that what's happening there is a coalition between, you know, the APC and the AA. And we also would wait to see how that plays out, especially when the president goes to Imo for campaigns. Let's take a break now. When we return, we'll be touching on more issues that made 2018 tick. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching This Morning, and we're looking at 2018 in retrospect. Of course, I have Mr. Tunde Kolawole, a lawyer and public affairs analyst in the studio, as well as Ahmed Dada Abbas, a lawyer, political affairs analyst. Gentlemen, thank you for staying the course on the program.
Thanks for having us.
So we had 2 elections earlier in the year, and many consider the Osun and Ekiti election as a litmus test for what will transpire next year. The dancing senator put some stunt in Osun. I mean, the margin with which the APC won the election was eye-opening. And in Ekiti, of course, the former governor was able to topple the incumbent party, the PDP. But one thing was common in both elections, and it's become a public discourse, the issue or the role money still plays in our politics. Some have said this is not the first time people have been given money to vote, and perhaps it's not going to be the last. What are your thoughts?
I agree totally with that. It's just, there's a saying that you don't enjoy watching a masquerade while rooted on just one spot. If you look at our electoral history from 1999 up to date and all that, you will want to agree with me that money has always played a very, very huge role. It is just the dimension, the direction in which the money is deployed. Look at the revelations that came from Mantu, former Deputy Senate President not too long ago, who said he had become a new creation, a new Democrat. He said, look, each time they are preparing for election, they always have a very huge war chest, which they deploy, that they will bribe INEC officials so that they'll be able to do their bidding. They will bribe the security people so that those ones will turn a blind eye when they are manipulating the elections and all that. And also they will deploy the area boys and thugs to some of the places they think that the political opponents have a very strong hold, and then disrupt elections in those places and all that. And then you also come back to some of our own environment in India. I have seen a situation in some of the places in which I have voted in the past and all that. As you're approaching the place where the ballot box is placed and all that, you have somebody will either tap you or somebody will beckon on you to come around. They will either give you a recharge card of 1,000 naira or give you a face cap in which money has been tucked in, or even a T-shirt, branded T-shirts and all that. When you open those T-shirts and all that.
Or they give you bread.
Or they give you bread and all that. Or Ankara and some of these other clothing materials and all that. So what has really happened now is because too many times people have taken some of this money without voting for some of these people and all that. They have now devised a direct method of really purchasing the people's votes and all that. They call you to a corner and say, look, take this 5,000 and then come and take this vote, or come and now we'll swear to a God or to some causes and all that. That if you don't vote for us, this and this is what is likely to happen to you. And so when you have taken the money and then you take this vote and all that, you are banned to go and vote. They not only do that, let me be honest with you, they not only do that, there are people that they also arm with some special devices and cameras and all that. Either some of the party agents or even some of the security men who have some hidden gadgets in their pockets and all that, who monitor what a particular voter, what a person he voted for, he didn't vote for another. So if you took the money and the camera happens to record it that you didn't vote for them and all that, what betides you after that election? With regards to the other two, the other election that we refer to, let me say, I am not impressed with the performance of INEC with regard to some of this election. For God's sake, we started in 1999.
But INEC did relatively well in Osun. recorded over 70% of PVC distribution.
Yes.
The time gap of sensitive materials
Yes.
getting to the ballot, I mean, was fantastic.
The logistics was perfect. The logistics was perfect. No doubt about it. But to see, the end result is what we are talking about. The kind of controversies that we saw at the end of that election ordinarily shouldn't be there.
Let's move on very rapidly. Let's look at what INEC did in Osun, for instance.
Can I just chip into the issue of money?
All right, briefly.
You see, I started my conversation by saying we are just a nation that engages in self-deceit. The issue of money cuts across the parties.
Oh, yes.
Will you tell me the president of this country is not aware that his party bought votes in Ekiti and Osun State? Will you tell me the IG, the EFCC chairman, the DSS Director General, are you telling me they were not all aware? See, if we want in Nigeria that the future generations will be proud of, these are cancers that they must help to treat when they have the opportunity.
Talking about treating cancer, so we saw INEC, you know, tried some innovations out in Osun, restructure the polling box, also ensure that voters do not enter the box with their phones, so they would be able to capture the ballot paper. Just recently, we were told that the ballot paper for the 2019 election is going to be rolled. So, you know, a third force or another party will not be able to see who you have voted for precisely. Do you see all of these tackling the challenge of vote buying?
In Osun, there were cases, it went viral, where voters were prevented from accessing the ballot box by hoodlums and security men who believed, in every community, they know those who are APC, they know those who are PDP. So depending on who exercises much influence, overwhelming influence over the security forces, they will partner with the security forces and ensure that their opponents don't even get access to vote. You know, people were shouting that they can't vote. It went viral. So that's why it comes down to the issue of sincerity. We need a leadership class that will be honest enough with the Nigerian people and say, look, so many things are wrong with the way we run our lives. And you can't put something on nothing and expect it to. It's like putting an empty pot of water and you cover it and you are telling the people food will soon be ready.
Boiling, yeah.
You are engaging in deception that obviously will become transparent to everybody.
You're saying that all the innovative ideas by INEC aren't going to work next year?
Look, it is the head. It is the head. The head is very important. No matter what INEC does, if the presidency, because I hold every government in power, not whether PDP or APC, whatever transpires is a function of how honest the presidency is. They should back up INEC with all the resources required to organize a credible election.
That's all right.
If people are buying votes, they are not spirits. Movement of cash. I'm not saying you can solve all problems within one single lifetime of INEC. But please, let us see people
Let me take this
being
call
prosecuted.
very quickly from Jos. Sabu, good morning. Hello, Sabu, are you there?
Hello, I'm here.
Please go ahead with your contribution.
All right. I just want to say something. It is very unfortunate for us in Nigeria. Please, my name is Habu. My name is Habu, H-A-B-U, not Sabu.
All right.
H-A-B-U.
We'll fix that. Please go ahead.
Yes. What I'm saying is this. What is very unfortunate for us in Nigeria. And you can hear that just recently, INEC is saying that the security problem in Nigeria is, precarious, and that is, no, not H for Habu, H, not
All right, H.
H.
We'll fix that. Apologies. Please go ahead.
What is happening, as I was saying, Habu is the name, not Sabu. H is the name, H, not F. What I'm saying is that, considering the security problem we have now in Nigeria, it is just unfortunate because I don't know what is going to happen in 2019. If INEC is coming out to tell us that they are afraid that the election will depend on what the security situation will be, what are we going to say? And like we were discussing about the Ekiti and Osun election, it's very unfortunate. We saw that those of us who were seeing things happening, it's just disgusting. You use one pattern in one place, in another place you use a different pattern. How does it go? So you find out that there is no confidence in the electoral and having confidence in the electoral body. So in fact, we just have to tighten our belts.
It's all right, Habu. Thank you very much for your contribution. Good to hear from you all the way from Jos. So it's interesting how elections played out. We mentioned primary election earlier. And in Lagos, we saw for the first time in 19 years where the sitting incumbent governor would not be returning because he lost in a direct primary election. As a matter of fact, Governor Akinwumi Amadi had 72,000 votes against Sanwo-Olu's over 970,000 votes. You know, on one hand, we're blaming the fact that primary election wasn't transparent. On the other, we see in Lagos how people with their votes decided an unprecedented event. How do you put all of this together?
Well, first and foremost, let me say that when you look at Ambode, he may have done well in terms of infrastructural development and his enthusiasm to really turn things around in Lagos State. But there is absolutely no doubt about it that the man isn't a party man and that his public relations isn't also good enough. I have had friends who were his classmates in university because, and who were close to him, trying to have access to him for the past 3.5 years. That he has been there, that ordinarily even telephone calls he will not pick. These are not people who want to come and beg for contract or want to.
How does that affect him as a governor?
It does. If the people
is he under any?
If, for example, the people you grew up with,
to
no obligation, absolutely. If, for example, the people you grew up with and people who have always been your friend all the while and all that will not have access to you just because you have become governor. Now talk about the ordinary party rank and file. I mean, what becomes of their field. The general complaint against Governor Apode and all that is just that the party rank and file has said, look, they never had this access to him and all that, and then the kind of thing maybe they used to enjoy under the previous governors and all that were not available to them. But be that as it may, you still cannot say kudos or give a credit for the party primary that has conducted in Lagos. When you look at the Electoral Act, and then you also look at the Constitution and all that, it says that the political party shall be supposed to be body corporates. And when you say an organization is body corporate, that means it must have structures and all the leadership and then members and follow. Just like the example of corporations or companies that are given. But you see, it was towards the party primaries that APC started issuing identity cards and then doing some documentation and all that. Where all these things would have been on ground ever before that. We knew at a particular time how many members the APC have in the different wards and all that. And then such a number of people were likely to vote in the party primary. Was that what we saw in the last party primaries in Lagos State? The answer is no.
Right.
And then furthermore, too, it would appear that it is the rank and file of the party member that really voted another. But lo and behold, if you are close to the people, you will know that the Godfather still had a lot of role to play in those party primaries. It is the directive that they give to the party leaders in the different wards and the different local government that they simply went to carry out.
That's all right.
In the respective party primary that took place in most of these wards. And
we have to move on very quickly, but from what we reported in Lagos, it appears to have been a consensus movement, right against the incumbent governor. But there's a lot to talk about. Let's turn our attention to the National Assembly. The National Assembly passed the Not Too Young to Run bill. Passed it, sent it to the president, and then he signed it into law. Of course, there are some who would say that not many young people could afford the amount of money that the big parties, collected for their nomination and expression of interest form. But what I really want us to talk about was the snatching of the mace at the floor of the Red Chamber earlier in the year. We thought that we had gone far away from that happening right in the hallowed chamber. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, for me, there's nothing new about that, because even in civilized climbing, in advanced countries, people
okay,
go.
Just a minute before you answer that. Let's take this call from Kano. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. God bless you. My barrister says, God bless you. Barrister Abbas, God bless you.
Thank you.
I want to appreciate you very, very, three of you there. I really appreciate you because you guys are doing a great job. You are trying to pick up the country. And the first thing I want to say is you need to understand that the country belongs to us and it doesn't belong to any politician. It is we, the masses, that is the problem of this country. One, why am I saying that? Because we left these people to deal with us. From 1999, from 1999 to date, they have been having interest of themselves, not the masses. So until we wake up as masses to take the bull by the horn, the country will still be like this. So we need to wake up, especially with the youth. We need to wake up to take the country to ourselves. If we leave the country for INEC, or leave it for PDP, or leave it for APC, it's going to be a thing of a circle. So until we wake up, so don't expect INEC to give you the best election, or expect APC to give you the best election, or expect PDP to come and give you the best election. They can never, and they will never. It is a self-interest. There is no enemy between them. There is no friends between them. There is no permanent friends or permanent enemies.
I believe you made your point very clearly, Prince. Thank you very much for your contribution from Kano. So you were saying that there's no big deal in the mace being snatched. I don't know if they use a mace at the House of Commons, but I can't remember the last time foreign people ran into the House of Commons or came into the House of Reps in the United States, and disrupted proceedings.
No. What I'm trying to say in essence is that I'm not actually sanctioning what they did. I'm only telling you that. In any society where you have so much number of persons acting in one way or the other, you are bound to have people who will act lawlessly and all the rest of them. What you need to do is institutions that would act accordingly. What happened in the last one that transpired, you could see how they penetrated the National Assembly. In spite of the presence of security men, came there, seized the mace, walked out freely, entered their cars, drove out of the complex, and nothing happened. So they were powerfully connected.
That's all right.
Yes, they were powerfully connected.
Let's take this conversation to Kaduna, and Mohammed is standing by. Good morning, Mohammed.
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
Terrific. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, just I'm watching your program. I think you people are missing the whole thing. You people are missing the whole thing.
What are we missing precisely, Mohammed?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, clearly. Please go ahead.
Good. I think Ambode is the best governor I've ever seen in my life. Ambode is APC's best governor. How can, because of godfatherism, I cannot imagine President cannot call Aswaju to tell him, look, this is our best governor, this is our best performing governor. They should put godfatherism aside. You should put either stakeholders, whatever. After election, it is governing. They should allow him to govern.
It's all right. I think you made your point precisely, Mohammed. Thank you for calling. I mean, Governor Ambode must be so good that you could tell from all the way from Kaduna. Yeah.
With regards to the mace snatching, I wanted to chip in a little.
Please
you see, if you look at the iron-handed manner in which Bukola Saraki has been managing the affairs of the Senate, you can almost emphasize that kind of scenario that eventually played out was going to play out. Because look, when the Senate president is kind of primus inter pares among his colleague, but you saw him deploying iron fist against political opponents, against whoever has voice of dissent against it, and sooner than later something was going to give way. And I think that was what happened with regard to the snatching of the mace.
Talking about the National Assembly.
Can I just chip in a little to what he said concerning Ambode, please?
Well, we already discussed that, but I'm just going to give you 13 seconds.
No, it's okay. He said something that is very crucial. From all the conversation that transpired, a lot of people spoke about Ambode's lack of public relation. It's good when you're in government, you should have solid public relation. But at the same time, it also it brought out one bad side of our politics. That is, the elite and the powers that be believe they must have access to the corridors of power for them to have relevance. And once they don't have that, that is the perquisite of, the goodies of office should keep flowing. We should create wealth for everybody.
Let's take this conversation to Abia.
Yes.
But one thing is certain about this issue. We monitor the primary election.
Yes.
Over 900.
Good morning, sir.
Absolutely.
Voted
Good morning, I guess, in the studio.
Yes, good morning to you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, that's a massive problem. You see, 2018 has come and about to go or finish by the grace of God. Our educational sectors, the primary, secondary, higher institutions, shaking with series of strike upon strike and no solution to solve it. Now you ask us, what is the evidence of democracy? Evidence of democracy is we need something like that. It's general and it's a must. Standard and sound education at all levels. The way we did is still shaking. Every day in Nigeria, when you tune your radio or television, we'll be talking about politics or politics upon politics. And the major issue that will cut off all this problem of unemployment, all these vices of kidnapping, is education, sound education, and properly. We're not talking about now. But the issue is that if you climb up and remove the ladder, wait and see what will happen. According to Reverend Father Boniface, he said he doesn't understand when people enter politics. They are very good when they are out. Remember, they enter politics, as if there is a solution of something that they take, they start behaving differently. He made so many examples. Now, is that what we should be expecting in 2019? We pray by the grace of God, 2018 is about to go, that all these vices, all these, that God will wipe it away. We talk about a new slate and a clean record come 2019.
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year to all of you in the studio.
Thank you.
Wish you the same, Okorafo. We have to start wrapping this up. Finally, on the National Assembly issue. So, Mr. President presented the 2019 budget to a rowdy session of a joint National Assembly, while some people were shouting 4 more years, even while he was taking the speech. Would you say you are disappointed in the honorable members of the House?
Yeah, for me, I think they went too far for those that were booing the president. You may disagree with all the policies of the president. You may disagree with his approach to governance and all the rest of them. But as a host, you should accord him the respect because he actually came to meet them in their chambers.
So a few individuals stood out in the outgoing year. One is Senator Dino Melai. Of course, his house is still under siege by the police. You recall that he jumped out of a moving police van, and then he said that he escaped his abductors by staying on the tree for 11 hours. The other is Kemi Adeosun, who resigned. I mean, that's unprecedented because of what they call a fake NYC certificate. The former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, wrote a letter to Mr. President earlier in the year. As a matter of fact, they asked him not to run, and he, wanted a third force. But later on, he's now endorsed the PDP candidate, going back on his word that he would never support him. Perhaps the 4th or 5th person is the former governor of Ekiti State, Ayofayose, who, of course, lost the election in the state. There were rumors that he was going to abscond, but he went to the EFCC, office, branding his T-shirt, EFCC, I'm here. Who would you say is the personality of the year?
That's a very, very difficult one.
Choice to make.
Yes, it's a very, very difficult one. I would want to choose Adeosun. Why? Simply because what she has done, even though the courage to resign, it's not something we easily do here. In some other client, you would have rushed to court, hire a senior advocate, and then try to muddle up the water and confuse the situation. But as soon as the lady saw the handwriting of the word, there's no more hiding place for her. She took the honorable part of resigning.
I'm running out of time. Let me ask Mr. Abbas. Fayose, cried on live TV. Okay, let's just take this one more call before we wrap it up. Additional is calling in from Ojo. Hello, good morning, Additional.
Good morning, sir. Good morning to your guys in the studio.
Good morning. You just have about 30 seconds. Please,
okay,
go ahead.
My retrospect for 2018, much challenge. On my own side is the security. Issue about security. I believe going to 2019, I want the government to put more funding into security. For instance, the welfare of our security personnel should improve. And when you improve their welfare, they will give better services. Also,
you made your point precisely, Additional. You want them to empower them. Who's your personality of there?
Well, like you said, it's a tough business because Adeosun, well, if she had no option, there was no option.
There are some lawyers who would still want to take her.
He had no
even
option.
After resigning.
The heat from the opposition was so much that I know
she was going to.
She had no option.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the show today. Today, Kolawole, lawyer, public affairs analyst. It's nice to have you again on this platform. Ahmed Dada Abbas is a lawyer and political affairs analyst. Gentlemen, glad to have you come.
Thank you.
All right, so the next time you'll be seeing me would be next year. Yeah, next year. Congratulations, you made it. And we'll be back tomorrow, God willing, with another exciting one. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. It's goodbye for now.